Hey, what's going on? Josh here, welcome you again to See Your Way. And today, I want to talk to you about seeing your way to a bug out bag. What is a bug out bag? Have you ever heard of a bug out bag before? Okay, so a bug out bag is like getting some very large knapsack or camping bag that specifically serves the purpose of having emergency items in the event of a natural disaster that you have to pick your tail up and run out your house and leave your home just like that. I do not know about how people kind of plan for emergencies. Everyone has their different strategies and tactics for staying alive. But having a bug out bag is something that is quite necessary. So why do you need a bug out bag? A bug out bag is for the purpose of having emergency items ready in the event that public services like fire service, the police, even the health services like ambulances cannot get to you, and you may need to vacate your home. You need to get out your home. Now, in the bug out bag, some essential things that you should have, like things regarding your health, food, and some form of shelter. Essential things that human beings need. It's the kind of trifecta of surviving as a human being on a very hostile planet. Let me just talk a little bit about what makes a good bug out bag. So the first thing you want to do is make sure a bag that can hold items for a certain extended period of time. Now, there are bug out bags that have a period of holding items for like about 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and if you go on like Amazon, you could see that they will have them for they would section it off on hour period, so like a 72-hour period, a 48 hours. So you might have enough supplies within a bag to last you for 2-3 days, because that tends to be like the amount of time before services can reach you, or you could get a safe haven where you can be taken care of by larger organizations or government agencies, and they could house you until things are sorted out. Right. Having a bag that is comfortable. If you're leaving home, you want to have a bag that has good straps, that it doesn't cut into your shoulders, because more than likely you might have to be doing a lot of walking, and you don't want to be taking a bunch of bricks because the strap cutting into your shoulder and your traps hurting, and you don't want to be going through all of that wildness. What you're supposed to be doing is getting bags that have a wide strap that assist in evening off the weight and distributing the weight very evenly, which would lead me to my next point that you should look for in a bag, and that is having good back support. So you want a bag that could somewhat conform to the shape of your spine and be as close to it as possible, because you want your bag to be as close to your spine as possible, so that the center of gravity is not being pulled away and it's resting as close to your body as possible. So it's like carrying your own body weight. And you want to get bags that are not too rigid, or like they're very minimalist, and you don't want to be uncomfortable when you're already in an uncomfortable situation. You don't want to be going through that. So there are lots of bags that have good foam and memory foam padding and some other materials depending on the brand that you look to purchase, and a lot of them are rigid enough. I mean, some of them could be good enough to be like a pillow. I have used it for when I went out camping already. Compartments. You want to have a bag that has enough compartments to hold different sets of items, because when you are moving in like emergency situations, you want to know that you have a space for certain items. You don't want to have everything bundled up and then you have to compartmentalize everything. You could have a section, this is for clothing, this is for important documents, like your passport, ID, birth certificates and that sort of thing. That's in a waterproof section. You also want to have a section just for your medkits, so your emergency supplies. And I'll get into like how why you would want to have, your medical supplies at a higher part of your bag in a later point in this video as well. So you also want to have a portion that could just hold water. You don't want things getting contaminated. Like, let's just say you have some other chemical equipment in your bag that's for disinfecting or whatnot. You don't want that to be dumping over into your key water supply, because some bags actually have housing for water bottles. Some of them might even hold for camel packs. It's like those little plastic things. It's basically becoming a camel. You want to make sure that your bag has some kind of compartmentalization features other than having something very open. But it depends on how you want to set up your bag. So it's also good to keep a bag very open and modular, so that you could have your individual plastic bags or Ziploc bags with specific items that are well labeled, and having a bag that could hold that amount of items is what you really should be looking for. Okay, so another thing you should be looking for is like the outside of the bag. The bag on the outside should have some kind of rigid material that is also waterproof, so that water could run off like off a duck back. You don't want your bag getting soaked in the rain, because when things happen and Uncle Murphy come to play with you, that is exactly when rain going to fall. And I'm specifically also talking about for people living in the tropical climates, people living in the Caribbean, right here in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Grenada. When you have to leave your home, a lot of the times when these events happen, it's more than likely going to be around hurricane season, and you don't want to be worrying about your change of clothes getting soaked. You don't want to worry about your little food items, your dry goods getting wet. You don't want to be fussing up with that when, hey, I know where I could get an next pack of cricks to feed my child. You don't want to be going through that. So make sure that your bag the bag that you use or you purchase, that it has that kind of rigidity to take cuts and scrapes, because you might be navigating terrain as well. You might be moving through some galvanized, because buildings might be broken down. You know, you have telephone wires and or holes, just everything just going mad. You don't want to be going through your vital supply roll down the road because your bag get a whole bus in it. Just know, it would be a wise investment to make sure you get something with a rigid outer layering. What are the things you should put in your bag? Now, an EDC bag, everyone has their personal way of doing this. Now, I think things that will allow you to survive the longest, that is where the mental priority. Some people might want to focus on making sure that they have enough things to make them comfortable. But when you're in a survival situation, it's not so much about needing to be as comfortable as possible, as it's more important to having things that you would need for when things get progressively worse. Yes, you want the conveniences of having like a fan. You might want to have like a little pillow tucked in your bag, so that you might be sleeping on a floor somewhere, and you will want these conveniences. That's secondary, unless if the environment, you're like having some challenges with how comfortable the ground is and your spine hurting you, whatnot. Yeah, maybe. But for the most part, it's about making sure that you have essential items that contribute to your longevity as a human being on this planet, because everyone wants to live long and fruitful lives. Long life. What are you saying by live long and prosper? That's what you're really looking for. Getting the right set of items. So one thing, the primary thing I would say, is to make sure that you have enough medical supplies. Putting in a proper med kit that has quick clot. Make sure you have things, if it is to do in-field stitching, if you are trained to do such a thing, making sure that you have asthma drugs or whatnot, making sure you have an extra inhaler specifically for that purpose, even though they do get expired at some point. Things for pain relief. People are going to be injured and you might not be able to get access to morphine or whatnot, so making sure you throw some Panadol, some aspirin, ibuprofen, whatever other stuff that you should be able to put inside of there. That's the kind of things that you should be putting in your med kit. making sure you can just cut little have cleaning wipes, having enough alcohol wipes or just a little container of alcohol. I mean, look at our life right now. Everything is a hand sanitizer. Making sure you have these things that you're looking to prevent infections, to ease up pain in the event that you have to keep going to get further and further away from a threat scenario or from a disaster zone. You want to optimize your opportunities. Any little thing that contributes to you getting towards a much more safer environment. Okay, so the next thing that you'll want to look to do is to make sure you have some dry clothing, extra pairs of dry clothing. I would personally recommend getting clothing that is breathable, dries quickly, and still has some kind of rigidity, and also clothing that does not draw too much attraction to you in the event that it's like a real chaos scenario. I will also do another video at some point in time again on the concept of the gray man. Look out for that as well. So dressing with clothing that is easy. So like this is like a cotton t-shirt. It's very common, but it might be better for you to wear some kind of active wear clothing where, you know, you don't want it to be holding on water onto your body in case you get soaked in the rain or you have to roll through some mud. You want things that are antibacterial and breathable because you want to contribute to you being your temperature being regulated easily when you have to be walking, because you don't want to be dehydrated from doing long walks, getting to safety as well. So making sure you have clothing that will hold you snug, keep you comfortable, and things that aren't too super loose fitting that they get snagged in an urban environment or in a rural environment. You want things that kind of hug, kind of tight you, but give you enough kind of second layer of protection. Yeah, have an extra cloth for headdress, because it might not, the scenario that you might be dealing with might not be in a rainy season. So another part of your clothing pack is to have something to cover yourself from the heat, give yourself some shade, even if it's just a very large piece of cloth, just to give you some shelter, just so you would be out of direct sunlight. And then it could double over as like a mat to keep yourself warm at night if the place gets cold. I know in a lot of Caribbean countries and tropical climates, the evenings tend not to be very cold, depending on where you are. We need we fan and we need we AC, so it might not always apply, but it's good to just have that. Food supplies. So you want to make sure that you have enough food supplies, calorie dense material, foods that you can use and ration out. Things that are easy to break and give to people, but also are not going to be easily contaminated. So I know a lot of people would want to walk with canned goods or like have canned goods in their backpack, but these things add up weight. So if you could get like dry bars, like protein bars, things that will just give you the necessary macronutrients and micronutrients for survival, that, because you don't want to have things that if it gets punctured, it's not usable and you have to use it now. So, you know, getting protein bars, I'm sure they're like, even some people, if you do eat animal products, you would want to get like beef jerkies or getting, you know, these kind of little mineral strips. There are so many products that you could purchase and just put down and leave in your bag, because you want something to just sustain you just for a little extra until you could get to like your next hot meal. These are things that people don't really think about on a regular basis, but it's quite necessary when you have what you have to think about when you're equipping and outfitting your bug out bag. You want to have things with high carbohydrates as well, things that foods that can give you a good rush of energy. You know, energy drinks tends to be very good, or you know, like powder drinks, that is. But having like dense calorie crackers or bars that have like high carbohydrate content. Carbs are like the primary thing that our bodies need to function in the world, more so than any other thing. But because it's quick, easy to get into the body. bloodstream, that is, and it's what is the foundation block for us to really get energy to move than our body relying on other things. So yeah, food supplies, make sure you have enough to last you a couple days. And yeah, right, so any kind of supplemental items like having an extra battery pack, having extra batteries for flashlights, making sure that you have common types of batteries to be used, so that in case you need to keep track of radios, radio signals, you know, for emergency signals, and, you know, directions to where people should meet, you get that energy in so that your stuff could remain charged if you need to maintain communication. Because even though, you know, calls might be far and in between because cell towers might be down, you still want to have a solid battery system where you might have walkie-talkie so you could communicate with people. We have a lot of CB radio operators. We have like services like volunteer services like React, for example. People use these things to communicate with each other when other communication services go down. So making sure that you have extra comms equipment, having some extra batteries to charge items, like charge flashlights if you have rechargeable batteries in those as well. Yeah, that's like another supplemental kind of item that you would want to make sure and have in your bug out bag. Good. So another key thing is to have extra rope, like having a little rope in your bag, because you might need to tie something to like another emergency supply, or train a line for fishing, or train a line for people. Like, you know, someone is in a kind of hard to get to spot. You might have to pull a child out of a ravine or down a hole or wherever. You may need to pull a heavy object, and, you know, finding a random chain somewhere might not be as common as we might think it might be. So the kind of rope that you also put in, they're also like what you call paracords. Paracords, you could see a lot of people have them with their bands on and that sort of thing. But having like a big bundle of paracord, because these things, they call them 550 cords, and the reason being is that they're meant to hold or have that kind of resistance and tension for up to that amount of pounds. So if you have to pull the average person out a situation, it should be enough to, you know, drag them along or whatnot. And for tying up objects, another thing that you would also want to put in is making sure you have some solid duct tape to seal leakages, or to seal containers and packages. Duct tape, I mean, it's like the gold standard. If you don't get like these other things like Gorilla Tape that, I don't know, they will seal some little hole in your heart for some tabanka you catch 20 years ago. The things are them that strong. But yeah, so having these kind of supplemental items really do assist in the kind of outlandish and weird events and scenarios that you will come across, and you would want to kind of be thankful that, hey, I really packed this stuff, I real good, I real happy. Better to be safe than sorry. Before you get to that position, where should you have a bug out bag? Where in your house? Should you just like tuck it in away in a place where it's not easily accessible because it takes up too much of your living space? Yeah, the average person might do that. I will also say that, let's just say in the event of a fire, can you get to where your bag is? Is it in a centralized location where you might not be the place where the fire starts, that somebody could just grab and go and bug out? Can you use that location as a meeting point as well, so that everyone has a bug out bag to grab and get out, and everything for that individual person is in their bag? But you want to put your bag in a place where it's under lock and key. Like that ain't making any sense, right? Not putting it in a place where, under emergency scenarios where your fine motor skills going, you're thinking about 10 million different things, and it's just simple as grabbing and going. You don't want that to be a complicated scenario. You don't want to have to go and find out, oh God, where I put the emergency key again, or where the emergency key to get to that thing. Yeah, no, just don't do that. Don't do that. have it in a area. It might be in a I don't know, like your wardrobe. It could be somewhere close to where your study area is, if you have that room in your house. Even if it's in your little apartment or whatever thing, put it in a place that might be close to an exit. You know, if it's in a cupboard somewhere, it's just as close to the exit as possible, or close to a window or something that, you know, you could just throw that through the window, jump through a window, and you have everything you need to start your life over again. That is where your bug out bag should be going. The last thing I want to talk about, what should you do? So there are pre-made bug out bags on Amazon. You could find some links to them online real easy, where they have the kind of essentials, and a lot of them are like real proper emergency bags. They may not even have like room for clothing. They will have just emergency items. So that might be completely separate from you having a bag for your personal effects. Now, some of these bags might be good for 2 and 3 or maybe even 4 people. I think that there might be more, some bags that could carry more. So unless you're moving with a family of how many people, one person in the family might be responsible for carrying all the emergency supplies. And you might have everybody else carrying their personal effects, having sleeping equipment on them or whatnot and thing. Because moving with your household items or things for your survival, you would be surprised how many things you might want to carry just for the convenience. But the pre-made bags tend to just have what is bare skeleton essential. Now, the difference between having a bag like that and having a bag that you cut out for yourself is that you could customize and know what's fit for you, because some of these bags might not have items that you need, and some bags might have things that you don't need because of where you live in. Some of them might have, like, I don't know, like winter equipment. They might have things to climb mountains. I mean, we live in the Caribbean. Unless you want to go and, I mean, most of the hillsides and stuff that we have, we could walk it up. But it's not like you might have things that you might need for, I don't know, for winter blizzard. We ain't gonna need that in Trinidad. So not buying a pre-made bag might put you at some disadvantage when you have to have certain things in your bag. And to me, it's just money wasted. So you could actually kit out your bag for a much cheaper price. I will do a video later on what my bug out bag looks like, so that you could get a proper understanding of what you should be putting in yours. So this brings me to the end of this video, and I thank you for watching. So feel free to leave some comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on having a bug out bag or having an emergency system where you could grab something and get out the house with real quickly. If you think that I have left out anything, also leave a comment. So please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you will be updated and you would get a little notification, a little thing, bling, a little ping on your phone to know when the next video is coming out, because I have a lot of fun stuff to talk about in the next coming weeks. So I thank you for watching, and I hope you do have a good day. Peace.